The Imperial vessel Dominion emerged from hyperspace with the practiced precision of Predator that had hunted countless worlds. Admiral Vex stood on the command deck, his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as Earth's blue-green orb filled the view screen. "Another primitive world to add to our collection," he remarked to Captain Merrick beside him. "Scans indicate rudimentary space capabilities and nuclear weaponry, typical of a Class 3 civilization." Merrick nodded. "The Emperor will be pleased. Our tribute demands always yield excellent results from planets at this development stage. They understand enough to fear us but lack the technology to resist." The Galactic Empire had perfected this approach across 12,000 worlds. The formula was simple: arrive with overwhelming force, demand resources and servitude, and crush any resistance to set an example. Most planets capitulated immediately. Those that didn't became cautionary tales. "Broadcast the standard tribute declaration," Vex ordered. "Let's see how quickly they surrender." In the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, Secretary General Thomas Reeves watched the alien transmission with 50 world leaders. The message was clear: Earth would provide resources, technology, and human subjects for research or face immediate consequences. "They're giving us 6 hours to respond," Reeves said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Options." Admiral Helen Jackson of the North American Alliance stood. "Their ship is massive, approximately 17 kilometers long. Our orbital defenses couldn't make a dent." "Then we surrender?" asked the European Federation president. From the back of the room, Dr. James Miller cleared his throat. The physicist was not scheduled to speak, but Reeves nodded for him to proceed. "Actually," Miller said, "we should tell them to run." The room erupted in confused murmurs. "Doctor, perhaps you don't understand the situation," Reeves began. "I understand perfectly," Miller replied, stepping forward. "For 70 years, we've been designing defenses against exactly this scenario. Project Prometheus was never about asteroid defense. It was about this day." Admiral Vex was surprised when the response came only 2 hours later. A single human appeared on screen, older, with graying hair, and what appeared to be primitive corrective lenses. "This is Dr. James Miller, representing Earth. We've considered your demands for tribute." Vex smiled. "And you've decided wisely to comply?" The human's expression remained neutral. "Actually, we respectfully decline and suggest you leave our solar system immediately." Laughter rippled across the Dominion's command deck. "Perhaps I didn't make myself clear," Vex said. "This isn't a negotiation. We have 4 hours remaining before we demonstrate our capabilities on your largest population center." Miller nodded. "We understand completely. That's why I'm giving you this one warning run." The transmission cut. "Arrogant primitives," Merrick scoffed. Vex frowned. Something felt wrong. In 3 centuries of conquest, he'd never encountered such a calm refusal. "Scan their planet again," he ordered. "Full spectrum. In underground facilities across Earth, systems that had waited decades for activation hummed to life. In the Atacama Desert, beneath the Antarctic ice, and in the depths of the Mariana Trench, massive particle accelerators powered up." Miller stood in the central command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as technicians prepared humanity's response. "All Prometheus sites report ready," announced the operations director. "Gravitational lens is aligned, targeting solution complete." Miller placed his hand on the authorization panel. "Let's hope they take the warning." "Admiral." The Dominion's sensor officer's voice was tight with alarm. "We're detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface and subsurface." "What kind of?" Vex began, but the tactical officer interrupted. "Sir, they're manipulating space-time. The readings are similar to our jump drives, but the scale is impossible." Vex felt cold fear for the first time in decades. "Evasive maneuvers. Prepare for emergency jump." "Too late," Merrick whispered, pointing at the view screen. Around Earth, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. The Dominion's sensors screamed warnings as fundamental forces began to warp. "They've created a localized gravity lens," the science officer reported in disbelief. "They're focusing the output of their star directly at us." On Earth, Miller watched the readouts as the Prometheus network performed exactly as designed. Humanity had spent 3 generations preparing for this moment, channeling resources that might have gone to space exploration into a single decisive defensive capability. Firing solution complete, the weapons officer announced. Executing. Miller nodded. Let's show them why they should have run. The concentrated energy of Sol hit the Dominion like the fist of an angry god. Shields designed to withstand conventional weapons failed instantly against the focused power of a star. The massive ship's hull began to glow, then melt, then vaporize. Admiral Vex had just enough time to realize his mistake. This wasn't a primitive world. It was a world that had devoted its technological development not to expansion, but to creating the perfect defense, a planetary-scale weapon capable of harnessing its star's energy. As his ship disintegrated around him, Vex understood at last, Earth hadn't been afraid. They had been waiting. 3 days later, the Imperial scout vessel Observer cataloged the debris field where the Dominion had been destroyed. The Empire's most powerful warship had been reduced to scattered atoms by a species they classified as primitives. Captain Lorne prepared his report to the Emperor with trembling hands. The conclusion was inescapable. Earth was to be designated a Class 10 threat, a civilization capable of destroying any force sent against it. The standard Imperial protocol for such worlds was clear: avoid at all costs. As the Observer prepared to jump away from the Sol system, Lorne gazed at the distant blue planet on the view screen. The humans had warned them to run. Next time, the Empire would listen.